name is Joshua Wood.
My name is Jordan Calhoun.
And we're going to be debating a little bit about whether or not the Native American fur trade between the Europeans and, of course, the Native Americans was either beneficial for the natives or detrimental to their overall way of life.
I will be arguing that it is detrimental, while Josh will be giving the benefits of the fur trade to native society.
So it turns out that the fur trade with the Native Americans was really not as bad for the native societies as previously thought. The original idea behind the fur trade being bad for them was that disease was ravaged their societies because foreigners had different diseases that they had been never introduced to. However, in recent studies using regression algorithms, it turns out that the population in native societies overall actually had an increase during this time, and it wasn't until several new diseases in the late 1850s all hit at once that there was any real major catastrophe disease-related in the Native American populations.
However, tuberculosis, one of the most deadly diseases during that time period, was not indigenous to North America. In fact, many natives did in fact die from this disease. But also, alcoholism was rampant. Rum was introduced by the colonizing British during this time period, and they would trade it for the furs, to which the Indians, who had no experience with the rum, became quickly addicted to the substance and would trade all of their hard-earned furs for the alcohol, leaving their family in ruins and poor.
However, as it turns out, this trade that the natives had with the Europeans led to the natives being in control of the Europeans' major source of monetary income. Because the Europeans were fairly small on the world trade scale at this time, they needed something that would boost their economic status, and fur was like the #1 thing. And the natives were in control of all of that because there were not a lot of European fur trappers in the area, so the majority of the fur came from the native population. And as it turns out, the alcohol, the overall effect of the alcohol, well, yes, there's plenty of drunks and whatever, and a bunch of people died and blah, 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 blah. The economic advancements and the technological advancements that the Native Americans got from this trade was enormous. They obtained a large number of goods that they would probably never have made by themselves for another several hundred years, and it led them to technological advancements that were extraordinary for the level of development that they had done so far in their societies.
Okay, so the technological advances, while amazing compared to their primitive state they were in, did not have much effect in the long run, because 150 years later, previously mentioned, they were mostly dead from disease, or they were put into small reservations and controlled by the newly formed American government.
Okay, so to be fair, the local effects of the fur trade with the Native Americans were terrible to those small communities that were the major centers for the fur trade. The disease ravaged those local communities, and alcoholism and alcohol addiction were rather frequent cases in those societies.
And as well, this level of amount of trade with the British traders allowed them to have a unique control over the European economic system, benefiting them in the long run.
Yes. So overall, there were positive and negative effects of the fur trade between the Native Americans and the Europeans, and it's up for you all, with the information that we've provided, to decide what your opinion is on this highly controversial issue that has existed for hundreds of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Wow.